one of the things that we're super passionate about is making money and marriage be something that actually works really well in your in your relationship. Because money and marriage always gets a bad rap, and people always see this as a negative, like money and marriage don't mix, X, Y, Z. But we think 100% it does if you do it right and you set things right to begin with. And so today we're just going to share with you 5 things that you can do with your finances and your money in your marriage that will help you to make your money and your marriage feel like one. Everything is flowing together, you're both on the same page, everything's happening, and you're supercharged to work together as a team. Let's get into it.
So I think one of the first things is that a lot of married couples tend to only talk about money in a way that's not fun. So it's, we're only going to talk about money when it comes to bills, or we're only going to talk about money when things go bad and we're in a bind. And it's not fun. It really isn't.
Yeah, so the first thing is to make talking about money fun. So I want you to imagine this conversation, right? Your partner comes to you and says, babe, you're spending too much money, Immediately, that's already, like, that first sentence,
like, I'm switched off.
Forget it. That conversation's not happening. But if your partner came to you and said, babe, here's £1,000 for you to spend anyhow that you wish. Now the conversation is different. I feel different just saying it. I feel different just hearing it,
A whole 1,000?
Okay. To spend however I want? Okay,
Like, you're not getting involved?
Come on.
Me the money.
I'm telling you. That's a whole different conversation. And so the hack really is to make talking about money fun. Bring up money in a way that's not like so dreadful and like being like negative, but bring it up in a way that's maybe fun, challenging. Some people have challenges in their marriage where they say things like, babe, can you imagine if we saved an extra £100 this month? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah.
Or like, I have a challenge for you. Make £100 this month. I want to see how you do it. Like, all of a sudden it's like we're talking about money, but we talk about it in a way that's fun.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing of doing this is then it's then received better. And I think that's the key.
Absolutely. Because if you approach me in a judgmental way about money, I think I switch off. Like, why are you approaching at me judgmentally? Like, why are you approaching at me like you're my dad? Talking to me about money like you're my dad. But if you come at me nicely, as you've just done, I will receive it better. And it doesn't always have to be, you're giving me £1,000. Like you said, it could be the challenge where you're like, okay, what if we saved this amount of money? Like, think of the ways in which we could use it to enhance us, enhance our marriage, can go on holiday, we could go on a date night. So make it fun that way rather than approaching me with it very judgmentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second thing you definitely should do, we think, is you should have a joint account. 100%. No, just have a joint account. But no, we understand that joint accounts aren't for everybody. So before you switch off and you start to shoot us, hear us out. I think there's definitely levels to a joint account, and I've kind of separated them simply in 2 levels. I'd say the first level is kind of like hardcore. You're going in, you're all in. There's like, you trust your partner, you love each other, all that kind of stuff. And this would be joint accounts for bills, joint accounts, or everything. Like, everything is in one pot. You can see everything as our money. Or you might say we have a joint account for bills, we have a joint account for like savings, especially if you're like, saving for a house and something like that, or a joint account for serious stuff, effectively.
Right.
Whereas on the flip side, you kind of got the joint accounts which I'd probably say aren't too serious yet, which are great if your relationship is still early or that trust is not quite there. You're still unsure about this whole thing, right? So the first type of joint account you might choose to have is a joint account for like date night. For the times when you do go out together on dates, you've both like put money aside for it.
Yeah.
Or you have a joint account for like an upcoming trip. If you're going away on a weekend somewhere together, you go like, okay, let's put it in a joint savings pot, and make sure that we've both covered the money to travel there, for the hotels, blah 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 blah, that kind of thing. And also, if you share a car, you might even have a joint account specifically for that, right?
Yeah.
Fuel, car insurance, road tax, that sort of thing. I think that's the 2 categories. You your serious ones and the not so serious ones, if you feel like that serious one is too much of a steep for us. But the reason why we think you need to have a joint account is because having a joint account will force you to work together as a team when it comes to money.
Absolutely.
It will also cause you to have conversations about money in a different way than you would do if you kind of kept things completely separate. And the different way that you would have those conversations would be making decisions together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most powerful thing you can have in your relationship when it comes to money. learn how to decide together what we are doing, not I'll do this, you do your own thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
And I think it goes back to that whole working together as a team thing. I feel like a lot of what we learned doing money together is stuff that we then took from there and then applied into our marriage, because it taught us to really work together. And because I feel like money conversations for couples at times can be really difficult and can be the harder like sort of subject to sort of really penetrate and talk about. Whereas you can easily talk about holidays, you can easily talk about going out, you can easily talk about what to eat for dinner, but when it comes to money, it's so difficult. So when you tackle this one and learn how to deal with this one, it's easy to take those skills or the things that you've learned here and apply them everywhere else. I'm definitely for a joint account, because for me personally, I believe we're doing life together. So why wouldn't we then do money together? Because the other danger is if we don't then do money together and we don't have the joint account, it's very easy for us to, like you were saying, to do things our own. That could really pull us apart, not just with money, but with other things as well. And as you said, you don't have to join all your money. You can choose to have joint accounts for certain things, but I appreciate the things that we've learned whilst we've been doing money together.
The third thing that you should definitely do is to make sure that you're both switched on financially, especially up here. Because what the scenario that we definitely don't think is a good scenario is having a joint account, but only one of you is the one who manages it, or only one of you is the one who makes the financial decisions. I think 100%, if you're in your relationship, you should both be clued up about like, okay, where exactly our money is going, what exactly do we have financially set up, what kind of bank accounts do we have, what kind of investments are we making, what kind of decisions are going on, where you're both clued up, you know, and not in a situation where like everything your partner's doing and you're like getting involved. You know, my husband does all that, my wife, she's the one who decides what happens. I think it's easy to do that, and it almost sounds good because I'm being
like
taken care
nice.
of. It's nice.
I'm just comfortable.
I'm comfortable. But let's be real, like that whole scenario is potential. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but there's a potential that something is going on that you would disagree with.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So if you're both switched on, you're both clocked in about like, okay, this is where our money is going and what's happening with our finances, I think that's the best position to be in.
Yeah, I think for me, the reason I've always been like very much like I need to be switched on with whatever we're doing is simply because what happens, God forbid, but we all know this will happen in life, but what happens if you're unable to do this stuff? What happens, God forbid, if you're gone and then I'm having to then take on all the responsibility of dealing with money? It becomes like a whoa, like it's a lot, it's overwhelming for me to then have to take on that responsibility whilst dealing with other things in the home. Whereas if we're doing it together now, if suddenly you're not able to then be involved in the money for any reason, I can take that on. Vice versa, if I'm not able to be involved in the money for any reason, you can take that on. And I feel like that's what happened when I was pregnant. Guys, when I was pregnant, I was like, listen, I don't really want to be talking about money and dealing with things to do with money, because I know myself. I was like, I can foresee myself making emotional decisions when it comes to money, number one. But I also don't want to deal with the weight that comes with money whilst I'm pregnant, especially toward the end days. And I very much had this conversation with you, and you were like, are you sure you don't? I was like, yeah. You deal with it. But I think you were really good at then dealing with the financial stuff, but then keeping me involved and keeping me in the loop of what was going on. So that's another thing. I was like, nah, I need to be hands off this stuff. I can't. Like, carrying a child is already a lot as it is, so I don't need to deal with that. So these things happen in life. So be in the know of what's going on.
Yeah. On the topic of death, you need to get life insurance. Stop putting it off. Just get it. Like, listen, I'm not even going to talk about it. You just need to get it. I don't need to explain it. Just Google it. If you need some help with that, I don't know, comment below, DM us, whatever. But you need to get life insurance. Right. The next hack for me is to automate your finances. So, you know, we've spoken about having like joint accounts and having money decisions and all that kind of stuff. But you want to make things simple. And the best way to make things simple, practically speaking, is by having automated transfers set up in your bank account. So for that, I mean, you know, you would have, say, an automated transfer from your main account into your savings account. the money comes in from your employee, from your
Goes
pay,
out.
whatever, it goes out automatically to your savings account, goes out automatically to your investment accounts, goes out automatically to your bills account. However many accounts you decide to set up and have, you want to make sure that everything is automated in the way that it needs to be. That way, you don't have to physically do anything yourself. Everything is done for you.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to kind of take the pressure off, especially when there's two of you managing this. You want to take the pressure off of being like, wait, didn't you make the transfer? I thought you made the transfer. I thought you did it. I thought I did it. Or like, when is it going to be done? There's not enough money. Where's the money? And then you're trying to confuse where the money is. But if you automate things and put things in place, then things will be so much simpler for you.
Yeah, I definitely think all that manual stuff, it's a lot of work. Like, it's so unnecessary and it's a lot of work. And I think it's very easy to also forget. Like, I found this at times when we've had, like, introduced new standing orders, for example, and then we've been like, oh yeah, we'll start saving into a pot. Let's use Christmas. We'll start saving into a pot for Christmas. So we'll manually transfer the money. You will really forget because life comes at you fast and life happens. So yeah, definitely automate stuff. Make it easier for yourselves. It's I personally just don't like doing the manual stuff. I just think the way technology is nowadays and the way banking apps work, they can take all that stress out for you guys as a couple and sort it out for you. So yeah.
The final thing that you definitely should do is to take risks, especially when it comes to money. I know it's not easy for everybody. It's tough for some people, but you need to start taking risks. And the risks could be, to be honest with you, the biggest risk you can probably take financially is going to be investing.
Yeah.
And you need to do it. Like, I think you need to be comfortable enough to take risks because... You know the saying, if you want high rewards, you need to take high risk. The more risk you take, the more rewards you have. But on the flip side, sure, if you don't take a risk, then you won't get a loss. People are like, but if I might lose my money, so I don't want to do anything that's risky. But the reality is, if you don't take a risk, you're going to stay exactly where you are next year. You're going to stay exactly where you are in 3 years' time. Nothing really will have shifted for you in your finances. And I'm not saying everything that you will do will be successful, but you definitely need to be comfortable enough to take risks. Because if you put your money in 10 baskets, I don't know, I'm like, at least 5 of those will come through.
Yeah.
Maybe not all 10, but some of those will come through. And therefore, you got options. You can invest in the stock market. That's a nice and simple way to get involved through index funds, for example. You can invest in property. There's so many different ways to get involved in property these days that you could even get involved with minimal money. You can involved in a business, invest in a business, whether that's your own business or whether that's somebody else's business or whether that's, a different way. But all of these different options. And the final one I actually want to point out is invest in your career. Some of you are in a position where for you to level up in your career, you need to maybe go into a program, go into a boot camp, get coaching, get a certification, go back to uni. But all of that stuff is obviously money and an investment, and you need to put money towards them. But if you don't do it, again, your salary or your position will stay pretty much the same. But if you just invest into that thing, that might be the thing that propels you to double your income or to earn a certain amount of salary that you're aiming to earn. But yeah, take risks and invest, because if you don't do anything, you don't get any rewards.
Yeah. To be fair, guys, I'll tell you one thing. We waited, until just before we had our son. That's where I feel like we've taken the most risks in life.
Yeah.
And
that was a slap in the... or wake-up call. It was a wake-up call. I don't call it a slap in the face, but having a baby was a wake-up call for sure.
Yeah, because then we're like, oh, wow, like, we really want to be far in life. Yes, we're doing things beforehand, but the risks that we've taken since having our child have been, like, quite major. And they've pushed us to, like, different levels and pushed us to explore different things. But then now that we're in it, like, I feel like even my appetite for risk has changed. Because I used to be the one like, nope, play it safe. Like, listen, just go to that 9 to 5 and play it safe. And but ever since then, my mindset has shifted, because I'm like, okay, I see, like, taking the risk. I see that, investing this money, I see that doing these different things is helping us in the long run. So I'm definitely for the risks.
Yeah, 100%. So those are the things that we think you should do with your finances in your marriage that would supercharge your marriage and help you to get closer in, together as a team when it comes to your marriage and your money. But let us know in the comments, what do you think? What are the things that you are doing, that you have done in your relationship, that help you to kind of be one in your marriage? And we'll catch you on the next one.